Adobe has been known for decades as a top-notch software company. Their document rendering, graphic design, video production, and pro photography applications, among many others, have become the leading apps in their class. Today, we are taking a look at Adobe's first crack at a piece of hardware, Ink and Slide. Ink and Slide go hand in hand as hardware for Adobe's two new iPad apps, Line and Sketch. Adobe Ink is a stylus, or as they like to call it, a pen, that connects to the app via Bluetooth to the extended capabilities of a standard stylus. The pen offers pressure recognition so the app knows whether you are pressing softly or strongly, and has a button to launch a menu in the center for quick functions like pen type, Creative Cloud clipboard access, functions for Slide, the other piece of hardware I'll cover in a moment, and more. As far as the actual pen, the build quality is quite impressive, all anodized aluminum, and the multicolored LED they add to indicate a connection at the back is quite a nice touch. The triangular shape of the device makes it a joy to hold. Using the pen with both of the apps is overall quite a nice experience. As far as just how the pen handles, I really like it except for one flaw, and that's the hard tip. I know they were trying to include a fine point in the stylus, but the problem is the pen makes a lot of noise when using it with the iPad because of the plastic point tapping against the glass. Do you hear that? Other than that, the pen is quite responsive and a joy to use. So before I talk about the other piece of hardware that goes hand in hand with Ink, which is Slide, I should probably tell you more about the two apps Adobe has designed for this hardware. There's Line and Sketch. Both apps have similar basic principles with a few different features. Both let you write with ink, remember ink is the name they gave the stylus, and have different brush types, colors, access to Creative Cloud, etc. Line is more for running things and just kind of casually drawing, while Sketch is more for the professional or person who wants to integrate with Adobe Photoshop or Illustrator. Maybe my favorite feature in this Sketch app is the Send to Photoshop button, and it works the same for Illustrator, that lets you send your drawing to Photoshop for fine-tuning. It literally pops right up on your laptop within about 15 to 20 seconds, as long as it's connected to Wi-Fi, obviously, and has Creative Cloud Manager installed. In my opinion, it is pretty magical. Sketch also has a community where you can submit your work in progress or finished product for critique and discussion. This is similar to Adobe's Behance. In both apps, there are a boatload of gestures, including a double finger for undo and redo. The apps are pretty well polished and bug-free for a first app, I have to say. There are only a few minor complaints I have. First, you can't restrict the pen to drawing and your finger for commands, if that makes sense. For instance, the pen would draw and you could use your finger for zooming and pressing buttons. You would think since it's a pen tablet, it would be able to detect that it is touching and then therefore use ink. And then when it gets a regular touch in the app, it knows to act as it like a controller and not actually ink for gestures and zooming and things like that. So we don't have to have such complicated gestures. Also, the only way to make a new page is to exit out of the current drawing and make a new one. Right now, there's no swipe or button to get to a new page. These are both fixable with app updates, so I'm really not too worried about them. However, what I like and what makes these apps different from the other apps is the ability to draw shapes and lines. Perfect shapes and lines. This is basically the entire point of this app. As you can see, by pressing the circle icon at the top, it pulls up these two circles on the drawing board, and by pressing them you are toggling through different shapes. Then you trace around the shapes, and voila, you have perfect lines, squares, circles, triangles, and a variety of other things. You can move the traceable shapes and make it larger and smaller. This is where the second piece of hardware comes in, Slide. Slide is a ruler sort of thing that is about 3 inches long and has two large feet on the bottom of it. There is one button on the top of the device, and the body is anodized aluminum like its pen counterpart. The purpose of Slide is to act as a digital ruler and then some. When you place it on your iPad, the controls and chaseable shapes that appear when you normally press the red button in the app, they appear, except for the red buttons, they do not appear. Take Slide off and they go away. Move Slide around and they move with it. It makes it easier and faster to access the traceable shapes that you use in these two apps that make them so special and unique. The button on the top of Slide is used to toggle between the different traceable shapes that the red buttons normally do that I demonstrated without the Slide hardware. And now that the final piece of hardware has been added, Slide, the workflow, so to say, is complete. And in my opinion, once you have every component, the apps, Ink, and Slide set up and working, the app allows you to be incredibly productive in sketching, tracing, even writing. Basically, it allows you to be productive as you can possibly be on an iPad. The apps are very intuitive and well built, and while I find myself using Line more than Sketch, both apps have their own purpose and serve it very well and have a promising future. The pen's flawless behavior in the app and the many shapes that are available for the slide tracing function make this system very attractive to artists, architects, and really anyone. But overall, I think Adobe's iPad drawing workflow is here to stay and it has a promising future. This has been my in-depth review on Adobe Ink and Slide. This is TechSpective, and I'm Jeremy Rochelle. Like what you see? Hit subscribe for more content like this. And while you're at it, follow me on Twitter.